Okay, so overall review of the Kobra Max, I think is brilliant. I've had absolutely no issues with it. I know there's no, I use Cura as my slicer. I know there's not a profile on there at the moment, but I just found on the SD card, put it into your computer, Windows or Mac, and just use the file off there really. I just chose using a profile off there and just changed the dimensions of the bed and the height and away really. Imported the PLA profile for it. A few changes, temperature and speed and that. They did go for quite a high speed, as you can see it's working quite well. I slowed it down at the beginning because obviously the first layer is important just to be able to get that adhesion. We are up for about 4 hours and 45 minutes so far on a 56% completion, so we're looking about just over halfway nearly. Yeah, so we're just doing the Star Trek Voyager triple print. I'm doing that for a friend. He was quite interested in that, so I thought I'd give it a go. And we're using the Amelion glow in the dark PLA. Not too sure about glow in the dark PLAs. I sometimes find that without neon lights and stuff like that, and using, I guess, UV light really helps with that, but like I say, most people don't have UV lights in their house, so it's a bit weird. But yeah, thoughts on it. So we've got the 400 by 400 bed, and then the 450 Z height. As you can see, it's considerably bigger than your average printer, averaging at about 250 by 250 by 300, sometimes 200. Say I've had the Mega Pro and the Mega Zero, and the bed would fit probably 2.5, 3 times onto this, so I'm looking forward to doing some multiple prints on there, especially to save time. It was always an issue on the smaller printers that you couldn't really do so many at once. But yeah, like I say, overall review, found that the motors on this, they're a lot cooler than the other printers that I use, which is good because obviously the size is bigger, so it's obviously not generating as much friction. And then you've got the dual carriage, which is good. I've also noticed actually on there you've got some plug screws, so that means we can actually change those over. I found on the others they were actually fixed to the shaft, so that's good. I'm pleased about that. Shouldn't have to change it, but I know that in the past, if there was an issue, if the teeth had failed, you had to change that whole motor. Everything else is looking good. Having the tensioners, perfect. As you can see, plenty of tension on that, and then the tensioner on the side. But overall, very happy. I've not had any issues, no fails. I do suggest using the Anycubic file profile on Cura. I know that people would like to make their own slices, but I think being a new machine, you're going to really want to make sure that you're getting the best out of it for the time being, just to understand how the machine works. I think sometimes people like to jump in and make loads of changes, and then they get failed prints, and then they're a little bit critical of the actual machine itself. I mean, the fact that you get a decent OWL on the G-code on the file, and then you go and try and slice your own, and then it's failing, and it's the printer's fault. But 9 times out of 10, it's just the way that you've set it up. I think a bit of patience, and I know it was brought up in one of the other videos. I'm not quite sure why the limit switch was exposed. I'm guessing there must be a reason for that. I'm not entirely sure. I think it wouldn't have hurt to come a bit further over. But cosmetically it looks fine. I like the fact that you can go to the settings page and put on the light, which is good. Helps if you're in a darker environment. I think it just kind of makes it look professional really. Yeah, very happy. The prints on the bed now, it's really important to let the build plate cool down. Don't try forcing it while it's still semi-warm. I think you're likely to tear up the actual bed itself. I found that just leaving it for a half an hour, go back to it, and you're able to take it off, so no issues there. Yeah, just take your time with it. It's not a flexible build plate. I quite like the fact that you've got the grid zones, as I said in my previous video. These grid zones, when it's doing the 25-point check, it stops at every point all the way around, and it's obviously do 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 at the back, done. You should really only have to calibrate every so often. I do suggest doing it, but you don't need to do it every print, maybe every 10, 15 prints. Just give it a little double check. Sometimes these rapid movements during prints could misalign, you know, the belts stretch a little bit, the build plate stretches another bit, so yeah, just take your time with it. In terms of the overall build quality, very happy with Anycubic. Yeah, if I was looking at buying it again, I would make a few modifications. I would hope to think that Anycubic will make some modifications to it. I think there's some aspects of it that they should have spent a bit more time on it, but I don't think it's anything major. Yeah, so yeah, thank you for following me. Like and subscribe to 3DP UK. I'm new to this. I'm going to give some reviews of this. It helps other people make a choice to purchase. As I say, very happy. Like and subscribe.